Hey, all right. Welcome back to another episode of Bigfoot Encounters call-in show. Bigfoot Encounters live from Bigfoot Society. My name is Jeremiah. Let's take a few minutes to call out who's here today. We've got Kalia Lanning Black. Hopefully I said your name right, but welcome, new member. And we've got Bobby's here. Thanks for being a YouTube channel member. Hello, everyone. We got Scotty is present. Shady, squatching with my homies. We got Linda, hey, from Missouri. Ted, still in Arizona. Good to see you. Where's Bobo? Hey, Bobo is not on the show, but hopefully I'll talk to Bobo one day. We got Forest City Sasquatch. What's up, Jeremiah? Derek from Bigfoot Canada here. Good to see you. We've got another new member to the channel, GH. Good to see you, and thank you for joining the channel. We've got Randy from the Sensible Bigfoot Project. Good to see you, Randy. We've got Robert Dunn. Great to see you. Mr. Robert Dunn, Patreon member. Good to see you, my friend. Shady, I saw a Sasquatch in the White Mountains National Forest in New Hampshire in May of this year. Well, you're welcome to call in if you'd like to share that. John is here. We've got, Forest City is saying that was some sweet telephone B-roll. You like that? Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am thankful for everyone. We already got 60 people hanging out. I'm just going to put this up on the screen right away. In order to call in, it's required to fill out the guest release form. You can do that by going to bit.ly/Bigfoot form. It's right there in front of you on the screen. And then you can call 515-809-0165. If I don't pick up, please leave a message and I will call you right back. So let's see. We got Slaya here, YouTube channel member, Patreon member. Great to see you, friend. Good evening, tuning in from Bozeman, Montana. So we are all hanging out, having a good time. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines, make sure that those are good to go. They are good to go. Perfect. All right, guys, we got a wild week. I am going to be working like crazy, getting ready for the week after, because guess what the week after is? It is the trip to Oak Ridge, Oregon, that we have been talking about forever. It's coming up soon. It's coming up in just over a week from now. Things are going to get crazy, and it's going to be great. Henry, hey all, New Hampshire here. Good to see you. Let's see here. James has an interest. Yes, sightings of strange creatures are accelerating worldwide. I would agree, my friend. I definitely would agree. We've got some, man, I'm doing some crazy interviews. I will give a little sneak peek. I've got multiple interviews coming out or happening next week, but I will say one that I'm especially excited for is I'm going to be talking to Miguel from the Sasquatch Theory podcast, the Sasquatch Theory YouTube channel. I'm sure we all know Miguel and the incredible content he puts out, how he makes these just amazing documentaries every week. And it will be such a great time to chat with him coming up this week. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. For right now, let me know what festivals, what conferences you're looking into going to before the end of this year, and I'll shout some of those out. We've got the phone lines open. If people want to call in at this time, they definitely can. Those are open and ready to go. Yeah, Miguel is awesome. He is a totally genuine individual. Great guy. Robert says, I'd love to go to Oak Ridge for the festival. Oh, I know it, dude. I'll have to high five Cliff for you, man, because I know Cliff's going to be there. So we'll be having a good time. Let's see. What else do we have going on? Oh, man. Guys, there's a lot of conversations I have with people off the air, stories that never get to be told. But I will tell you this. Tennessee's a lot crazier than probably most people realize. Although you know that it is crazy. with Bigfoot stuff. It's crazier than you're thinking. So, talked to a gentleman on the phone off air today, helped them through some stuff. And we'll see. Some interesting research might come from this. It's all about getting the right people in the right areas. But let's see. Yes, Tennessee is also gorgeous. It is a wild, wild state. So for those that are new, this is Bigfoot Encounters call-in show live from Bigfoot Society. Uh-oh. Who could this be? Okay, remember, tell me right off the bat if you can hear who this is. Hello? Uh-oh. All right. Here we go. Going to have to call this person back. I think we might be having some technical issues right off the bat. But let's see if I can call this person back.
Hi, you reached Randy Harrington at Aristocrat Sighting. Please leave.
Hi there. Hello?
Did I lose you?
You got me this time.
Yeah, this is Randy, Sensible Bigfoot.
Hey, Randy Harrington. How's it going, man?
It's good, buddy.
Good. Before we get started, let's double check a few things. Are you on speakerphone currently?
Yes.
Do you mind if we try that without speakerphone? It's a little bit of feedback.
Okay.
Okay, how's that?
Perfect. Yes, thank you. Okay, and Robert says that we can hear Randy. Awesome. So I just want to make sure, Randy, and we did talk a little bit earlier, but this is also recorded for the podcast, and it's live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. So just making sure we're on the same page with that.
Yes, I am.
Perfect. So, Randy, I'm glad that you were able to call in tonight. I've been wanting to chat with you for quite a while, but I'm glad that it all worked out. So, tell listeners what it is you got going on. You got one of my favorite up and coming Bigfoot YouTube channels. I love watching it, but Can you introduce what it is you do in the Bigfoot field with your research real quick, and then we'll get chatting for a little bit?
Well, the main research that we're focused on and centered around is a very southern area in mid-Missouri, Ozarks, that we call the 400. And my partner and myself, Shane Carpenter, not Scott Carpenter, Shane Carpenter. Well, we've been in that area. He invited me down there in 2018. So we've been there ever since. There's a family group that lives down there, and we've witnessed them go through at least one set of young ones. And those young ones have moved on, grown up and moved on, and been replaced by a new set of siblings. Recently, as short as last year, maybe a little further back than that, found some new 6-inch tracks and some 9-inch tracks. So we know there's 2 younger ones that are now moving up in the family group. So a very, very productive area, and that's where we're concentrating all of our efforts. And as you know, we've mentioned that we're doing a documentary with a real film crew. It's not us walking around with GoPro cameras doing it ourselves. So it's a long process, but it's been very exciting. I do like to go down to the Kiamichi Mountains a lot. That's where I've been going since 2004. So I don't want to neglect that area. I'm within probably 15 miles of the North America Wood Ape Conservancy in the areas that they're at. I'm probably I stay less than a mile from the Humphrey Cabin area. Everyone's familiar with that story. So the areas down there in the Kiamichis, you can practically go just about anywhere and spend enough time and have activity, because these things are all over down there in the mountains. There's no place that they can't be roaming on, along those ridges and the creek bottoms and all those things. So all you have to do is just go down there and camp, and within 2 or 3 days, if they take notice of you, and you're paying attention, you'll get some signs that they're around. But that's basically what I do. Every time I get the opportunity to go camping, I will. Unfortunately and fortunately, I'm a business owner, so I have to work, and it's too bad we all have to work for a living.
Right.
That seems to take a whole lot of our time. But yeah, so right now, we're looking at July and August here in Kansas, and that's typically 100-degree weather. So I will not be working because I do construction, so I won't be doing that here. That's when I will go do my camping. So it's funny how I can camp when it's 100 degrees, but I can't work when it's 100 degrees.
Right. Yeah, that is kind of funny. So the 400 is such an interesting area that it sounds like you guys have a lot going on in that area. Would you be able to share, are there any any close encounters that have happened in the 400, or what's the closest that you think you've been able to get to them in there?
Oh, you mean, well, I think I did a show with you once a couple of years ago. I'm not sure how long ago that was. So I don't know everything that we talked about. Maybe we only talked about my encounter from the Chickasaw Park. Maybe
that was the one we had talked about. Yeah, it was kind of a little brief. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the 400, we have gotten as close as 7 or 8 foot away from one of the juveniles, and I caught it on thermal, and it was having specific behaviors that make it to where we can identify them, and that is just exposing a portion of their head and being somewhat frozen. But if you watch them and you're facing them, they move extremely slowly. So the head was slowly dropping, and it took a couple of minutes for it to go from where you could see the top half of its head until it dropped down behind the foliage that it was behind. And that's the moment I told Shane, I said, that's one right out there about 100 feet or so away in the deep grass. I said, because it had that slow movement behavior when you face it. And so Shane started going out there, and I had a biologist standing beside me. So as Shane was walking out there, and if you go to my website, or my YouTube, it's called 7 Feet Away from a Juvenile. Mm-hmm. The whole story is laid out, and you can see the thermal image, the thermal video. But as Shane started walking out there, you could see the behavior of this juvenile change, and it changed from being in a position where it assumed that it was not being seen and moving in a way that you wouldn't see it by moving extremely slow, to where when Shane started walking in the direction, and it's pitch dark out. If I didn't have a thermal camera, we certainly wouldn't be seeing it. So Shane's walking towards it, and you can tell when it realizes that Shane was coming towards its location, and it popped its head up really fast and was looking to his left or to his right, which would be Shane's left, as Shane was heading out there towards him. What we realized later is to the juvenile's right, about 50 or 60 feet away into a brush line, wood line, was the mother and its sibling. So it was caught by itself. Don't know why it was separated from the other two. We didn't learn all of these other locations until the next day in our investigation. But when Shane got out there about 7 foot, I was directing him to where the juvenile was. He dropped back down into the grass, laying down prone, and he was behind some very thick scrub. And the next day we found his body imprint, and it was about 5 foot, about the same size as Shane. We took a video of Shane laying in the same spot. But when Shane got closer to it, it dropped all the way down, and I had to direct Shane how to get where the heat signature was, because it was laying face down prone in the grass trying to hide. And when Shane got as close as I could tell with my thermal camera, I said, okay. I said, Shane, of course, slow down. I said, you are right there, very close to where it was. So Shane clicks on his flashlight, and you hear Shane say, "Oh my God, I'm looking right at its face." It popped its head up and was looking at him through the grass, laying there on the in the bed of grass. So for a few minutes, they went back and forth where Shane would click on his light, turn it off. Didn't quite know what to do. Would click on his light again, catch glimpses of his eye shines and his face, and he started to move to look at the body. He wanted to see the body. When he took a step to Shane's left, he heard a sound, and Shane, and this is all in the video, Shane will describe it. To him, it sounded like the teeth were clacking, because that's the only thing that it sounded like, even though we don't know if that's what it was. But it sounded like the teeth were clacking, and the moment that the teeth started clacking, which I'm going to assume is a very nervous anxiety type thing because Shane was so close, and that signaled a rock being thrown out of the wood line that we later learned when we find the footprints in there that it was the mother and the other sibling back in this wood line watching the whole thing. And that's where the rock came from. So the mother threw the rock. We're assuming it was the mother. She's the one that threw the rock, but she waited until the little one clicked its teeth. She allowed the whole thing to happen all the way up to Shane getting within 7 feet of this juvenile. And so it was so fantastic and amazing that we feel like there's a bit of a relationship there because the mother allowed it. She didn't shake a tree. She didn't scream. And we speculated that because she only threw a rock rather than making her presence known by screaming, like, "Get away from my baby," or whatever, she didn't do any of that. She quietly just threw a rock that almost hit Shane in the leg. So for her to do that, we speculated, and believe me, Shane backed out at that moment. So when that happened, Shane backed out onto the trail. But later we speculated what could be the cause of her not making a noise or shaking a tree so that you'd know her location. And all we could come up with is she possibly had a younger one on her hip that she was even more protective of than the 5-footer, which was clearly not a babe laying in the grass. So it just made sense. And we didn't know until a couple of years later, which was, here recently, that Shane found some 6-inch tracks that she indeed did have a younger one. So I would assume at that time, she probably had one on her hip that still wasn't allowed to roam free on the ground, that she was willing to be quiet because she was more protective of the younger one, but she threw the rock to get him away from the 5-footer that was out there laying in the grass. He clearly had his own freedom from mom's tether to be that far away from her when we were going down the trail, to be out there ducking down. So it's almost like they're allowed a certain amount of freedom as juveniles. They're undisciplined. They don't quite have the skill set that I believe the mother, I think it's a matriarchal family unit where she does all the training with them, because we've never seen the male. Shane has found his tracks up on the higher parts of the property, but we've never seen his tracks down there in the lower flats where we always find the 2 juveniles. And then at some distance away, you see the mother's track. So it's almost like she gives them distance to go into our campsite, to rummage through our tables, to follow us around and spy on us. It's almost like she's using us to train them. And we happened to caught them that one night, separated and in a position where once it was laying prone in the grass and it knew that Shane was walking towards it, it had to decide, do I get up and bolt and get seen for sure? Or do I just put my face down and try to blend in with the grass and hope he walks on by? I think that it was the latter. I think that it was that latter choice that I think he made consciously, because I could tell by his behaviors that he was nervous. And then when he went prone, laying face down, I think he thought that Shane could possibly walk on by him. How many times have we done something like that where they've laid down in the brush and we've walked on by them? It's amazing to me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that comes up in a lot of other interviews that I have where it's like they are so close to where we are walking by. And how soon do you think it will be until we get to see that documentary that's being filmed, Randy?
Well, we always have Zoom meetings, and we've got a producer out in California, a producer out on the East Coast, and so they always have to get their schedules together, and then they fly out, and there's 2 camera people, and so it's a pretty big deal. But they've had things happen while they were with us, and it's been very exciting. So all we're doing now is we're just scheduling them, and they're doing all the filming, and they're making it a lot about me and Shane and who we are as people, not necessarily. The Bigfoot is the secondary proponent to the documentary. The female producer, her name is Cynthia Hill. She's an Emmy winner, and she just went to New York for a Critics' Choice Award for one of her videos, and she did a video. There's an actress who passed away in her 30s, and I can't remember her name, but she did a documentary on her, and that's the one she won the Emmy on. So she's a documentary person who does it about the people, and that's her focus. She was using the restroom while out at the 400. Her and another camera lady went down the trail to use the restroom, and she saw something black-haired running down the creek bed away from our campsite. And so we know what it was.
Wow.
She saw something while she was out there, and she thinks she wants to say it's a bear. And I want to be honest with people, and I want to say, if I thought it was a bear, I would say, yeah, we got to go with the bear. But the thing is, since 2016, 17, 18, I've been there since 2018. Shane's been there a couple years before me. Never seen any bear tracks, never seen any wild hog tracks. And you would think in a deep Ozark, you'd think that you would find some of those type of animals, but those animals may not share the same space that a family of Bigfoot that seems to be there ever since we started going there. So clearly the Bigfoots are there. The fact that we don't see any bear tracks or ever seen any bear tracks or wild hogs, and the male seems to be he patrols the border. That seems to be the only place you find his tracks, and his tracks are fairly large. Thankfully, we don't see him. I haven't seen him. I don't really want to see him. But it seems like his role is to patrol the borders and just make sure that the family stays safe. And the mother has a specific role. It seems to be the teacher, of the family, of the youngsters. It's amazing what years and years and years of tracks, showing the tracks growing in size, and the same tracks changing, the morphology changing from more human-like when they're young to the more flat-footed, wide stance, flat foot that you see on the much larger ones when the tracks get that large. So it's amazing. I've never even heard of a location like this where you're getting year over year changes in the foot and the proof and the cast. And to me, it's just fascinating to be involved with this location and being fortunate enough, to be a part of it.
I would say that's a really unique situation. Have you been able to take casts of the footprints as they've, progressed in size?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you just have, Shane's probably got 200 casts. I mean, because the funny thing is, there's 2 creeks, and one of, at least maybe even both the creeks are spring fed. So the water is so cold and clear. I mean, hardly, just super clear and cold, and in the hot summer months seems to be the most active there in the low areas of this property, which stands to reason. The water is clean and clear, and, the pawpaw trees are producing, and, they dig up clamshells. We found where they're digging up clamshells. We even found pawpaw seeds in their scat as far as a month and a half after there were no pawpaws on the ground. So we're going to speculate, how are they still eating pawpaws when there is not one speck of a pawpaw around? Have they learned how to dig holes inside of the hill and throw a bunch in there, and maybe they'll last a while longer or something? Who knows?
Oh man, it sounds like there's some really interesting research coming out of the 400 for sure. You mentioned that you're also involved with the Kiamichi region, which is down in southeast Oklahoma. And, you know, people, if they're watching and they're into Bigfoot, they're like, oh man, southeast Oklahoma, that's where everyone wants to go. But sounds like you've been able to go down to, you know, relatively close to Area X location, even the siege at Honubby location as well. And have there been really some interesting things that you've been involved with when you've been able to go down to the Kiamichis?
Well, you know, of course I'm going to throw out a shameless plug for my YouTube channel, but I've got a video on there called Communications, Bigfoot Communications, and I show a lot of stuff that happens on a ridge, and I show exactly where it is on the map, and my time spent there, and all the things that happen there. There's audio recordings of rocks being thrown into camp. There is a video that I got in 2005 on that ridge that M.K. Davis has studied for me, and we call it the Ridge Walker video. So there's lots of evidence just from that one campsite that I would call the base campsite. But there's an incident that happened in 2009, and once again, it's a long, convoluted story, but there's a lot of details. So you'd have to go to my YouTube plug to look at some of these. But it's called the walkie-talkie incident, where we lost a walkie-talkie and a photograph fell out of somebody's pocket, and 4 days later, both items were returned in two separate rock cairns on a trail that we were traveling on. There was a rock cairn right there that blocked the road, 2 foot high stack of rocks, and within the cavity of that rock cairn was the walkie-talkie that went missing 4 days earlier, and another rock cairn further up around the ridge had a photograph in it. We didn't even know we lost a photograph until we found one in the rock cairn. So to me, that was just fascinating. And I think that was related to the years that I had spent there, just kind of developing a relationship and a consistency. And that is the type of baits I would put out and the clothing I would wear. I was very consistent with wearing the same blue fire department sweatshirt, because I'd go down there and I'd spend lots of time in the fall. So wearing a sweatshirt, I would always wear my blue fire department with yellow letters on it that said fire department. Very easy to identify me as being separate from other people just by sight alone. So whenever I was down there, I was always wearing that. So I would I drew a picture of a Bigfoot and a man side by side. And the man I colored wearing a blue fire department sweatshirt with yellow letters. And I would put a laminated picture of this out with every one of my baits for a long period of time, hoping that they would have an understanding if they were to take the food and see the picture, make the connection that I was that guy, and so I never knew if that panned out. I just knew that I was getting a lot of activity down there. And then in 2009, just a couple of years later, to have that walkie-talkie and photograph returned, I was floored. And I told everybody I hoped that it was because of I had set it up. I kept setting it up to where I wanted them to trust me.
It's very Randy he has brought up his YouTube channel, which is incredible, and it is worth watching that video about the walkie-talkie. That is a very good one. Another one of my favorites is when you talked to Denny, who, when I first saw that interview, I was like, this is incredible.
Denny Coleman.
Yeah. And then Tanya reached out to me and was like, hey, talk to this guy. I was like, oh, that's the same dude Randy talked to. But you talked about K-Trail, and I think Denny talked about that. Is that a pretty active area, like along that? That's an actual a road you can drive on, right?
Yeah, well, no, not necessarily.
Okay.
I've been on K Trail quite a few times. And one time I went up there, a lot of times I'm up there by myself in those areas. I do the research by myself. And my idea was to go from the Indian Highway on K Trail all the way to 259, which is a highway. I thought because of the map that I could do that. So I took off from the Indian Trail Highway and started going east on the top of that ridge on K Trail. And there are times when it's pretty rough. I had a diesel truck, four-door cab diesel truck with a long bed. So it was 4-wheel drive. So I was confident. So it is extremely long and rugged. So you have to go slow. So by 3 a.m., I don't know what happened, but I think I took a turn, or I took a veered off to what eventually turned into just a regular 4-wheeling trail. And my truck was so tight. I kept thinking I'll just keep squeezing through and I'll break out into an open area pretty soon. And it just kept getting tighter and tighter till I was so far back in there, scraping trees on both sides of my truck, could not turn the truck around. And it was just like 3 a.m. and I was lost as a goose. And you talk about going through the anxiety-riddled willies. I was a mess because I was like, oh man, all I need now is a flat tire, or all I need now is my truck to break down. I am in some deep crap here. But I eventually found a place where I could just run over a bunch of small trees and remember Austin Powers when he was in the golf cart in the airport and he had to make 30 turns to make that. That's what I was doing with my truck till I finally got it turned around.
That is amazing. So when I think of Southeast Oklahoma, I personally, and I could get some pushback on that, and that's fine because we all can have our opinions. But I personally think that Southeast Oklahoma is one of those places where there's the high likelihood that the discovery of Bigfoot and the proof is all going to come from that area. Do you feel that area is, it's really hyped up? Do you think it lives up to the hype, or is it maybe a little bit overhyped?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, but the thing is, the Bigfoots never change. I mean, so to me, I don't mind giving out locations because when people are like, I'm very protective of my area, or I'm very protective, I'm not. I actually want people to go where I've camped, and I want them to tell me what happens to them. Those kind of things excite me. The thing that's consistent is Bigfoot behavior, and that is they're elusive. Most people don't know how to pay attention. So even somebody that goes down and camps in the same places that I camp, if you're not paying attention, you will easily miss, because these things sometimes will just come around, see that you're there, and then they'll move on. So you'll miss them if you're not paying attention. Only very often does one hang around and toss rocks for a couple hours and things like that. That's a rarity. But the thing is, I've never been concerned with somebody going down and killing one, because you're never going to put a beat on. If you're not a hunter sitting in a tree stand and catch one off guard, they're not going to allow you to put a beat on them. They just don't. They don't put themselves out in the open for enough stretch of time, even when they're just moving on their own. They just don't put themselves out there so you can put a beat on them. Hey, North America Wood Ape Conservancy, they've been trying for 10 or 12 years now to kill one, and with high-powered rifles and assault rifles and all that stuff, and taking pop shots in the dark, and they haven't been lucky enough to do that. So I am not concerned. The Bigfoots know how to take care of themselves, and that is by staying stealthy. I've said all along that that's one thing that I've noticed. It's distance. That's the one thing that they use, that whatever distance one is comfortable with, that it needs to get away if it gets discovered, whether that's 50 yards, 75 yards, or 100 yards. There seems to be a certain distance that they just won't get any closer, because to them, distance means escapability. So if they're okay with observing someone from 100 yards away, and I see one looking at me through the trees or whatever, that gives them the distance, the comfortable distance that they need to vacate without any problems. that's why they very seldom, a close encounter is just an extreme mistake that the Bigfoot makes. Most of the time, it seems to be that distance is what they're comfortable with because it allows them to escape if they get seen.
Randy, incredible stuff. I mean, you're one of the guys that you're out there, you're boots on the ground in multiple places. I'm just so glad we got to talk tonight. I do have a few other people lined up, but man, it has been fun chatting with you. Do you mind taking a few minutes,
thanks, buddy.
Reminding people how they can keep up to date with your work and research and all that good stuff?
Well, please, the Sensible Bigfoot Project, I tried to start that just, here recently, a couple years ago, or even less. I'm just trying to be sensible about what I've seen, what I've experienced. There's nothing fanciful. There's nothing outlandish. If it's not, if it's not the truth and factual, you're not going to find anything made up on my YouTube channel. It's just the way it is, and doesn't mean I'm not open to all the other kind of stuff. And I am open to it. I just haven't experienced any of it, so I try to be sensible. That's about it.
Absolutely. Well, always a pleasure to chat with you. Stay in touch, Randy. Let us know if there's any updates in the future. And thanks again for calling in, man.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
See ya. All right. Wow. What a fun first call with Randy Harrington from the Sensible Bigfoot Project. Great guy, great researcher. So make sure that you are following his YouTube channel. Let's get caught up in the comments here. Got a lot to get. Let's see what we got here. All right. I'm going. All right. Hey, we had Mysteries Unknown stop by. Can't hang out long, but just wanted to say, hey, guys, follow the Mysteries Unknown YouTube channel. If you like encounters, you will love those guys over there. I'm going to actually be having both of them on separately later on in the year to share their encounters. So stay tuned for that. Let's see here. Let's see. Michelle is here from Missouri. They're thick here. Jim, you're right about Tennessee. I live in East Tennessee, and we have them on our property. Jim, I'd love to talk to you about it. You can reach out. If you want to call in right now, you can. If you don't want to share live, you can also email me at bigfootsociety@gmail.com. Let's see. I'm looking. Poncho says, the dog man I saw, I rode past it within 10 feet. It disappeared behind a tree seconds before I passed it. Oh, wow. That is wild. We got Mitzi here. Great to see you, Mitzi. I thought there was an Iowa comment. Let me look real quick. I'm looking. Guys, phone lines are still open. If you want to share any encounters or research updates, you're welcome to call in. Let me go ahead and put fill out the guest release form first, and then you can call that number, and it goes directly to me. Let's see. Let's keep going. All right. Poncho's got cabins in Wilburton, Oklahoma. Well, that's cool. Yeah, Robert, Randy was also, I believe he was on Sasquatch Odyssey. You may have heard him there. But he's got a great channel. Make sure you follow him. A lot of people are saying they're digging the Martin Groves re-release. I'll give you a little sneak peek, guys, since you're in here. At Monster Fest 2, I was actually able to sit down with Martin Groves for an update on some stuff. And it's stuff you won't be expecting. And that is coming up in a special Monster Fest 2 episode, I believe, in about a little over a week. Let's see. We got Leanne here. Hey, everyone. Great to see you, Leanne. We got Central Florida Bigfoot. Good to see you, man. Logical. I agree with this line of thought about distance. Absolutely. Let's see. Oh, yeah. That's a wild... So Brian is talking about how he was listening to the Martin interview, Martin Groves. You know what freaked me out the most, Laura, is when Martin said he turned on the headlights and there were 2 roughly 8-foot Bigfoots, but one immediately went into spider crawl mode. Yeah, that's wild, right? Got Bobby Younts. Good to see ya. Richard's here. Good to see you, Richard. Great first call. Thank you so much. Let's see. Laura. Good to see you, Laura. Brian, I've heard others talk about the spider crawl. I can't picture it in my head. It sounds so foreign. I know. That would probably be one of the creepiest things that I could ever see, right? Hey, we got Tyler here. Keep up the great work. Good to see you, Tyler. Let me double check. Okay. All right. And we're having a good time. I think there was a comment. I missed it. That was about, there was a guy that was like camping in Iowa. If you're still watching, put something else in the comments, friend. If you're watching this and you're camping in Iowa, oh man, this is terrible. I can't wait for the Martin update episode. So so I'll tell you this, it's a combination episode. And if you're in the Patreon and you're a YouTube channel member, you'll be able to listen to it first. I don't even think it's released for them. I have so many episodes done ahead of time, but man, it's amazing. So this episode is great. It's got Justin with Cryptids of the Corn as the main interview. I go around to the different speakers in the Monster Fest, and I do like roving on the floor interviews. I do about 10 of those. And then I sit down with Martin for a good 15, 20 minutes, and we have a solid chat. I'll give you a spoiler. I'll give you a little teaser. You know what? It has to do with a new book. How about that? Oh, I said too much. All right. Henry. Okay, Henry. Henry's being interesting. Salt Fork, Ohio has been busy lately. Henry, what do you know? What's going on over at Salt Fork, Ohio? Is there a lot of Bigfoot activity? Maybe Henry can give a update. I don't know, but see, we got 121 people watching live. Appreciate y'all being here. Just okay, false alarm. So just a reminder, this is Bigfoot Encounters live call-in show. If you have a Bigfoot encounter or you experienced a Bigfoot while you were out in the woods or, doing research, you're welcome to call on in. We talked to Randy Harrington at the beginning of the show. It was a great chat. But yeah, anyone, if there's a gentleman who said that he has Bigfoot on his property in East Tennessee, love to talk to him. If you have any updates, if you have any sightings you'd like to report, feel free. All you have to do is fill out the guest release form. And what this does is it allows me to use your recorded audio on the Bigfoot Society podcast after you fill that out, which is so quick. So quick. It's like name and yes, pretty much. Then all you have to do is you call the number on the screen, 515-809-0165. Super easy. In fact, let me check just to make sure there's no one else I have to call back here. Okay, no one yet, but we're going to have a good time. We're chatting in the comments. Let's see. What other festivals are coming up? We've got Oak Ridge, Sasquatch Summerfest, and if you're planning on going to Sasquatch Summerfest and you haven't gotten your tickets yet, you can use code Bigfoot Society, 2 words, all caps, for 50% off your tickets. Guys, it's a 3-day festival. 50% off tickets is substantial. Okay. Alan, hey buddy, how's it going, man? I should be headed up to the Uwharrie Forest in late July. I hope I said that right. I always mispronounce that word. Alan, you're the man. Good to see you. Thank you for being a YouTube channel member as well. Scott M. headed to the Tennessee conference July 27th. Oh, yeah. Jackie, I hope to see you in Oak Ridge. Jeremiah, I hope to see you too, Jackie. Unless unless something weird happens, I'm going to be there. So, good time. Henry, I still have Bigfoot roaring at my folks' home, and 2 times it's tried to get our deer killed. Henry, you've got some wild stuff going on, dude. I'd love to talk to you about it, but no pressure. Let me refresh the email real quick. Good times. We got about 120 people hanging out here. Let me double check. All right. What else do we have going on? Oh, yeah. So there's one other festival I'll be at this year. If you do want to see me at another festival besides Oak Ridge, you can see me in Van Meter, Iowa, last weekend of September at the Van Meter Visitor Festival. Always a fun one because I get to talk to people from Iowa, my home state, about their Bigfoot encounters. It's a great one. All right, let's see. Day Trooper says Jefferson, Texas Bigfoot Conference is October 18th through 19th. Jeff Meldrum is the featured speaker along with Lyle Blackburn and Ken Gerhard. All right, awesome. Oh, Henry, are you from New Hampshire? I'm sorry. I think you're the gentleman from New Hampshire. If you're not, then I really apologize. Let's see, Jackie. I'm only going on Saturday. I'm taking my residence up there. Oh, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, we talked about that. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. That's right. Yep, Henry. Man, that was a while back. That was about maybe a year or so ago. I think it was through email. Good stuff, guys. So I'll do a few minutes to talk. Usually when I start talking about my own podcast, this is when people call in. So it's kind of like my lucky charm, right? Okay, here we go. So if you don't know, the Bigfoot Society Podcast is a podcast I do weekly, multiple times a week, where I talk to people about their Bigfoot encounters. I try to stick it to Bigfoot. Sometimes Dogman sneaks in a little bit, but it's mainly, I would say 99% Bigfoot. So, multiple times a week, multiple episodes. If you're at work and you're like, man, I wish I had something to listen to while I'm working at 2 p.m., then you are in the right place. Just look up Bigfoot Society on YouTube or on all major podcast platforms. Also, I do a special episode for YouTube channel members and Patreon members once a week. That's wild, guys. Not many podcasts are doing a special episode for their members once a week, but I love doing it. And I'm talking to people that have had encounters. So these are encounter interviews. And usually, I mean, guys, 99% of the time, it's people that you haven't heard before. So very, very cool stuff. The Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/the Bigfoot Society. And for the cost of about a Starbucks, there's a great community there. You also can listen to the extra episodes as a YouTube channel member. Good times either way. Let's see, what else do we have here? If you do have a Bigfoot encounter and you don't want to call in live, you can always call in, or you can always write in bigfootsociety@gmail.com. And man, I'm taking a look right now. I've already got multiple messages to go through after this. Good stuff. So let me put the banner back on so people can see it. If you've got a Bigfoot encounter you'd like to call in with, you can go over to bit.ly/Bigfoot form, fill out the guest release form real quick, super easy. And then you can just call in the special number, which is 515-809-0165. Let's see. Henry, the only thing new in New Hampshire, my area, my brother was cleaning out a deer. Something did a humph noise. Interesting. 7 times, 30 yards away. I think it was waiting on the pile of insides. Oh, wow. That's wild. Whew. That's very interesting. While we're waiting to see if we have anyone call in, let's do our This is the thing we do when we get a little bit, when we're just hanging out. So if you are a YouTube channel member, go ahead and feel free to request a county and state, and I will look up BFRO and read a sighting report from that county and state. If you want to be able to request one, you can just click the join button right now, and then that allows you to go ahead and request a county and state, and I'll read a BFRO report. And if someone wants to call in live while we're doing that, that is fine too. But for now, let's see. Let me see if there's any. I'm going to see if there's any good ones here while we're waiting. Oh, Jackie, Lynn County, Oregon. Oh, yeah. Well, I was already in Oregon, so let's go over to Lynn. Well, here's a fun one. This is from 2012. Close encounter scares hunter off their campsite east of Sweet Home. Camping out archery hunting with a 19-year-old son. Heard what sounded like nondescript mumbling outside tent. That happens so much. Happened to me, actually. Thought I was hearing things, went to sleep. Woke to hear footsteps outside tent heading to truck. Something rustled around in the truck. Thought it was my son. I rolled over to see my son shaking inside his sleeping bag. Oh, that would be horrifying. Before I woke to the footsteps, he heard at least two different vocalizing, mumbling sounds with walking around our tent. They stopped on my side, and he heard a loud vocalization type talking and saw a large hand push in the side of the tent using 3 fingers about 4 to 5 inches. Oh, wow. I was snoring, and my son thought this might have attracted them. We waited inside the tent for a couple hours and could hear movement outside. Nature called, and we both went. I saw one standing behind the truck, and he saw one duck behind a tree. We tried staying in the tent for another hour, but they wouldn't go away. I got up, went to the truck, started. One was about 30 yards behind truck, just watching. We grabbed the tent and everything in it, and without breaking it down, threw it in the truck and left. This went on from 11 p.m. until 4 a.m. Oh, my goodness. That is absolutely wild. Wow. Let's see. Let me check out the... All right, let's do another one here. Right, Bobby Younts, YouTube channel member. Thank you. We got Montgomery County, Ohio. Okay. All right, here we go. This is late night sighting by motorists north of Germantown. Year is 2005. My husband and I were on our way home late one night when I saw the headlights of the car shine on something crossing the road. I shouted to my husband, "Did you see that?" He said, "See what?" Hold on. Okay, we're good. I was all excited and couldn't believe that he didn't see it, but he had a good reason. He was focused on the steep hill and curve we were about to drive up, and it was late and dark out. We drove up Cherry Street in Germantown that turns into Diamond Mill on the outskirts of town. There was a fork in the road at Little Twin Road. We go this route frequently when we go to my mother's in Middletown from our home off of Diamond Mill, located on the outskirts of Farmersville. We came home the same direction. We were on the way home when I saw this creature. I was in total shock that night when I saw something really tall with long straight hair all over, dark rusty brown, and I had a long stride as it crossed the road. I was trying to see if there was a hunter dressed in some hunting outfit, but then remembered it was March and not hunting season. I told others of the sighting and was made fun of repeatedly until my neighbor just told me this morning of seeing the Bigfoot in the same area. I was elated that someone else saw what I saw in the same location. I now travel with my camera ready in that area. Wow. That's awesome. Good stuff. Let's see. What county is that in? Gotta look at the county this is in. Let's see. Montgomery County, North Carolina. Okay. All right. Whoa, 15, Alan. Here we go. June 2004. Campers have morning sighting in Uwharrie National Forest near Badin. One morning after leaving the campground in the National Forest to get a biscuit, me and my father saw something big walking across the road. I couldn't identify it. It was walking, then stopped, looked at us real fast, and stepped off the road into the woods. There was a road sign. When this thing walked in front of it, it completely blocked out the sign. I asked my dad if he had seen what I had seen, and he said yes. I said, thank goodness. I thought I was going crazy or something. We pulled up to where this thing stepped off the road and looked around. Nothing at all. The brush which this thing had went through was not even moving. We got back in the truck and started driving. My dad said, what in the world was that? We tried to rule out every other possibility but Bigfoot, but they didn't work out too good. First, I said it could have been a bear or someone riding a horse, but my dad said if it was a bear, it wouldn't be walking upright unless it was threatened or trying to reach for food, and it wasn't present, and bears aren't around the Stanley County area. Then my dad said maybe it was a horse, but there are horse riding trails and a horse camp in the National Forest. There's one problem. Something as big as a horse or a bear should have upset the brush, and it should have been moving, but it wasn't. Something very fast and very smart had to have stepped over the brush. After all, this did happen in only 30 seconds while we drove down the road, and I pretty much agree with my dad. Thank you for your time. That's wild. Good call, Alan. All right, we've got GH, new channel member, Bear County, Texas. Oh, that's a good area. Let's see if there's one in here, though. Texas. Yeah, there's two. All right, let's do the Class A. March 2005. Near San Antonio. My wife and I had been working as the cleaning crew for a new housing development displaying various model homes on the edge of the city for a couple of months. As part of a contract, we were required to clean a trailer used by the construction workers as an office. The trailer itself was at the bottom of a hill at the back of the development with a road coming down to it and turning to the right, making a wide U. One night, my wife and I had just finished cleaning and were getting ready to load all of our equipment back into our car. When my wife walked out of the trailer carrying supplies and looked off to her right to a shallow clearing near the trailer. She claimed she saw a tall, hairy figure with a pointed head watching her from behind a tree with Y-shaped arms. Y-shaped arms, that's weird. Surrounded by small brush in the middle of a small clearing about 25 feet from us. She immediately froze and watched it for 2 to 3 minutes, where she claimed it leaned to the side to look at her from around the tree. Then she got upset and ran back in. I was rolling the cord to a vacuum when she told me what she'd seen. We turned off the lights because she felt like we were being watched, and I walked outside looking at the area she described but saw nothing, so we ran to our car, which was parked an equal distance in the other direction, facing the area, and turned on the headlights. We saw nothing when we did, so we left the lights on and ran back in to finish locking up, and then got back in the car. Before we left, we turned the car off and sat in the dark for about 10 minutes, hoping to catch a glimpse of whatever she saw. The following day, we showed up early while there was still daylight and looked at the area. We were quite familiar with the immediate area, but could not find anything nearby that she could have misidentified. Nor did we see anything that may have been placed there the night of. The tree itself was about 6 feet up until the arm split. And what she saw was a good shoulder profile. We followed several paths in the area that all led into a thick wooded area with no house behind it, but found nothing before turning back. Very interesting. Checking the phone one more time. Okay. And let's go back to the comments. There are some good chats going on here. It looks like we are not going to have any more calls, but it's been fun hanging out with you all. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. If you do have a Bigfoot encounter, feel free to email me, bigfootsociety@gmail.com. And if you want to join a community, you can always go over to patreon.com/the Bigfoot Society, or you can click join if you just want to get the episodes early as a YouTube channel member. But if you want to do some things like we hang out in a Google Hangout at the end of the month, we do movie watch parties, you can join the Patreon as well. It's a little bit deeper community over there, but I did the YouTube channel membership as a way for people to get stuff over here for early episodes. Guys, it's been fun. Make sure you click the bell so you don't miss the next live. Who knows? Let's see. Live next weekend should be regular time, Saturday, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Make sure that you're subscribed and you click the link. And hi, Kimberly. Good to see you. Thank you, Slay. Thanks for having a call in tonight. Appreciate that. And Bobby Younds, thank you so much. Please hit the like button on the way out. Guys, make sure that you also go over to Randy Harrington's channel after this, the Sensible Bigfoot Project, and follow that channel. He puts out lots of great research updates. And I will see you next time all. Have a good one.